Hey there, friends and family. Well, today is an important day. I am taking my FAA Part 107 unmanned aerial, or was it unmanned vehicle test. I'm just leaving the house. It is negative 17 degrees today here in Colorado. Fortunately, the airport is just across the road here, Meadow Lake Airport out here in Falcon, Colorado. And that's where we're headed to. Do a quick shot. Kind of see we got some snow on the ground. Not too much wind right now. But I have been studying for a bit now. I'll go more into detail about that later on once I finish the test. So I took about 3-4 months of studying, and I'll go into that in just a little bit more. But I'm excited, I'm confident, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do well. We'll see in a few. We'll see how that goes, right? Did a lot of reviewing the past couple of days, and yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm confident in doing it. Fortunately, the airport's only about a 90-second drive, 2-minute drive. Roads are actually really good right here. So it's only been about maybe a minute since I left the house. Here we are across the road from us. And the testing facility is literally right there. That blue building. I didn't get any sort of message today that it was canceled or anything. I do see cars there, so that's a good thing. So, here we are. We'll go pull up, park in front. So here we are at Springs Aviation. Out here at Meadow Lake Airport, Falcon, Colorado. And all I can say is wish me luck. I'll get back with you once I'm done with the test. Okay, so I'm back. I just finished the test. Took me an hour, and what did I use? Hour and 13 minutes. 60 questions. I bookmarked, I think it was 9 questions to come back to. Most of them were just ones that I said, hey, let me take a look again. Went back. Out of the 9 questions, probably 6 of them, yeah, they were already right. And I knew they were right. I just wanted to come back to them in the future. There was about 3 of them, something like that, where I spent a couple more minutes on it, just making sure, and I ended up changing one of them. I know you guys want to know how I did. I'll tell you that in just a minute. Just want to kind of go over some things real quick here. But the testing facility was absolutely nice. The people were really friendly. I got here at Meadow Lake Airport in Falcon, Colorado. It's just a single, very tiny, like almost like a closet-sized room. Very quiet. They gave you the supplement. They had a magnifying glass, so I didn't need to actually have one. It was actually better than a little one that I had brought. They gave me some paper, a couple of pencils. They also gave me a clear sheet, like a plastic cover, that since they don't want you writing in the book, that you can write with a marker. There was a marker there. I didn't even use that. None of the chart questions required me to even go on there and figure out any sort. I had 0 questions about latitude, longitude, what's the coordinates of this airport. None of that whatsoever. I tell you what, the first 3 questions were all about ATIS, about what frequency the ATIS frequency is. I mean, the very first 3 questions. So that was, I was like, this is just way too easy. It was actually really nice. A lot of chart questions that were on there, which was good. You're constantly flipping back and forth. The book was old. There was a couple of pages, back towards figures, was it 75, 76? Those pages were falling out. Other than that, it was really, really good. And let me see, I did have to ask for a straight edge. However, didn't need it. I've seen online on some of the YouTube videos where some people actually needed it and helped them. But of course, this test is generated from well over 1,000 more questions. I'm not sure what the database of questions are. They're pulling 60 out, so it's not the same test for everybody. In fact, I just said the first 3 questions for me were all about the ATIS frequency, and I guarantee you not everybody's going to have the first 3 questions on ATIS. If you have, let me know, because I'd be just kind of curious. So how did I do? I went in very confident, and I was shooting for 100 is what I was shooting for. I ended up missing 3 questions. I got a 95. I'm very, very happy. I'll show you the paperwork and all that stuff when I get home. But anyways, I'm still sitting here at the airport. Here, let's show you some air. There we are. It's negative 17 outside. Nice old plane in front of me here. So I'm still sitting here at the airport, about ready to turn it around and go home. Home's only about 90 seconds away, depending on the traffic light. Could be quicker. So I will talk to you when I get home. Okay, I'm back, guys. So got back home and I went over my exam results. Went onto the IACRA website and uploaded my exam ID to request my certificate for my unmanned aerial, what is it called? Unmanned Aircraft General certificate. That's what this is. I'll show it up on the screen. So as you see on the screen here, it gives you an explanation of what it is that you did. My score was 95%. I only took it 1 time. There you go. That's awesome. I went ahead and whited out some of the areas, but the exam ID, there's a very long number there. That's what I input into IACRA, and the website, the FAA, already had my information. Down a little bit lower there shows a couple of different codes. I had 3 codes. Those are codes that were related to the areas of the questions that I missed, not the exact questions. It would kind of be nice if you knew what the question was, but I guess if I knew what the question was, then I could tell everybody here, and maybe that wouldn't work. But so these 3 codes, the last code is for Delta Airspace, Class C or Class D airspace, and man, let me tell you, I don't recall which question. I know I'm pretty solid on all my airspaces, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so here's how it went when I first got there. So I checked in. They already knew my name. Really nice people. Went in. Already had all my paperwork, everything all done. I had brought a calculator. I had brought a magnifying glass. They said that they provided both, so I went ahead and left those out there. Highly recommend magnifying glass. The charts and the paperwork and the aeronautical supplement, the Airman Knowledge testing supplement, and I'll show that to you in a second. The font on those charts are extremely small, so highly recommend that. They provided pencils. They provided a little marker, a plastic covering that you can actually write on if you wanted to put that over the chart itself. I didn't have any of that stuff. I had to ask for a straight edge, and let me see what else was there. Yep, I think that was it. So this right here, I went ahead and bought this myself. This right here is gold, I'll tell you that. That is the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement for Sport Pilot, Recreational Pilot, Remote Pilot, and Private Pilot. Within here, I'm telling you, it's almost like a cheat sheet for some of this stuff. If you are definitely one of these people that didn't go through Pilot Institute like I did, right? I'm going to talk more about that here in a minute. But here up the front, for those that are just using YouTube and for their studying purposes, nothing wrong with that. I'm going to tell you the front part of this sectional chart, and I'll show that up on the screen here in a minute. That is gold. You need to become familiar with that. You can download this for free as a PDF, or you can buy it, purchase it like I did on Amazon. This will be in the room. They actually give you this. You can't bring your own copy of it. This chart is in the very front. So if you forget what your airspaces are, what the dashes are, what a The magenta color is at what level Class C airspace starts, right, with the magenta. It'll tell you right there. It'll tell you civilian airports, what's a red or blue. So this right here will help everybody out. So the way that it worked when I finally got on the computer, I made sure I had all my materials, everything that I knew that I could possibly needed, and then they give you a code to enter into the computer once you are ready. Your testing doesn't start once you enter the code, but I entered the code, and then it brought me up to a couple of screens where you have to read, just terms, almost like terms of service, just different things you had to read, you had to agree to. And then prior to taking the actual test, they have you take a 5-minute practice test. From there, that's how you can practice hitting the bookmarks, doing the buttons, kind of figuring out, just how the actual system works. And I went and played with it just for a couple of minutes. That way I understood the bookmarking section. And there's a little tick box. You can hit the bookmark, and then I found that there's a drop down that has the number of the questions, like 1 through 5 on that test one. And during the actual test, it's 1 through 60. And when you hit the drop down, if you had bookmarked a question, it actually highlights the questions in red. So if, like when I finished my test, I had bookmarked, I think I bookmarked 8 or 9 questions. And from there, when I hit that drop down, I could just scroll up and down and see that, question 6 is highlighted red. I can go straight to it. So it made it pretty easy. And then of course, when you're done, you can just untick that box, and then that red goes away and it's no longer bookmarked. Once I was done taking the practice test, felt comfortable. I actually went in feeling very confident. I was hoping to do 100%. Pilot Institute really helped me out. I went ahead and started the test, and immediately the first 3 questions were on frequencies, ATIS, which were quite easy. Now, I'm almost thinking if later on there was a few more frequency questions, multicom and things like that, one of those codes that I had on there was actually communications. So somewhere I screwed up on a communication one, not sure which one it was, but I did have a lot of comms. Believe it or not, I had a lot of comms. I think I had about 5 or 6 questions just on communication, all having to do with frequencies. So that was actually, I'm a comm guy from the Air Force. I did 20 plus years in the Air Force, and yeah, communications was my specialty. So that was good, pretty good. Let's talk about the test. The testing was right on line. A lot of the questions were very similar. Some are even the same as the course that I took, and which helped me quite a bit. And there was a lot of flipping back and forth in this book. I mean, a ton of flipping back and forth in this book about going to different charts and telling you different section areas, different areas within the chart to look at. My book was quite beat up and battered. In fact, it was kind of faded up here and on the sides. I had a couple of pages falling out. So I had to be careful with the book. There was a lot of questions that were pertaining to the charts. Definitely know your airspaces, know the frequencies and how to read what the elevation of an airport is, to know what the ATIS, the control tower frequencies are, your AWOS. When I got to my TAFs and to my meters, there was a couple of questions about weather. To me, that was extremely easy. Talking about at what ceiling is overcast from this time to this time. So that was pretty easy to figure that out. There was a couple more questions on that. I didn't find that challenging whatsoever. But here's a alibi on this. So being retired Air Force, I dealt a lot with reports that looked like they were encoded. Everything was in Zulu time, as well as so many different abbreviations. I can't say I was exposed to exactly what a TAF or a meter report was or is, but I have been exposed to items and information similar to that. So for me, it was quite easy. The overall test, when I was done, I took my time. They give you 2 hours for the test. Don't rush. No matter how confident you are, don't rush. Okay, that's about the best advice that I can give you. Read the questions thoroughly. I have a tendency to like to get things done quickly, so I went in there already with the mindset of saying, "Hey, just calm down, relax, and read the questions thoroughly." And if you have, just even an inkling of, spending too long or just a question about it, just bookmark it, come back to it. And that's the reason why I had about 9 bookmarks. I went ahead and took my time, went back and reviewed all my questions. And I finished at about 1 hour, and I think it was around 1 hour and 12, 1 hour and 13 minutes is what I had left, or what I had completed. I knew when I left the testing room that I passed. I just wasn't sure of the score, because I literally did have a question. I thought in my head there was like 2 or 3 questions. I was so hoping to get 100, but ended up, the lady was really quite nice. She got this big smile and said, "Hey, congratulations, you got a 95%. So I'm really happy with that. So let's talk about how I got to that point of 95%, what helped me. I enrolled into the Pilot Institute. You can go to it. What is it? www.pilotinstitute. It's a online course taught by Greg, and I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but it's taught by Greg. It's a very reputable course that's out there. There's many different courses. I went and did my research. This was one of them that I found to be, in my opinion, the top course that's out there. I enrolled back in August time period, and I was pretty good at, I think all the information is presented in approximately 12 hours, a bit more. I think I took about 2 weeks going over that, going through the courses, taking the practice quizzes and things like that, as well as doing some studying in the books. There's another book. There's so much of this stuff that they tell you within the course. Here's another book that I got. It's called The Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, right? And you can see there's some stuff up here. They're tabbed chapters that are good course of knowledge that you need to know. Between that, as well as this chart supplement, I didn't have to study this. I didn't even really quite look at this too much until towards the end. Now, here's something. At the very end, they have an unlimited amount of practice exams, right? It has 60 questions. They give you 2 hours. In the course of instruction, or in the test itself within the course, they'll give you a chart, and you can click on the chart. It's on your computer. You can click on it, and then you can expand it. You can move it all around, and you can see what's going on. That's absolutely great, right? However, that's not how it happens in the testing room. So what I did this past couple of days is I actually used this book, and I didn't use the computer. That way I could kind of see if I did need a magnifying glass. And let me tell you, the first chart I looked at, for the first question, and the first chart, I was literally looking like this and realized, yes, I definitely need a magnifying glass. So that kind of gives you, I don't know, that's just kind of, maybe that's a recommendation if you have this book, or if you print out the PDF, to use this while you're answering the questions if you're taking that. Heck, even if you're taking some Google Part 107 courses, and they have some questions, you can at least use that very front appendix, because this is your cheat sheet, the sectional aeronautical chart. That first couple of weeks, I went and I studied. Then I used these books. There were some flashcards that I downloaded. In fact, while we were camping back in September, I was going through the flashcards as well. The only thing I wish there were more, that you could download all the flashcards at once. That was the only thing I didn't like. It only downloaded a batch, and then you had to download more. I found that out while we were camping. I was going through them, and next thing you know, there wasn't. We were completely out of cell service, so there was no more flashcards to download. And I thought I had them all. Things got a little bit busy. Between, I want to say, end of September till about a couple of weeks ago. And maybe I just got lazy and just stopped really paying attention to the course of study. Well, it was about the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I decided let's go back, and I went and I redid the whole course again, watched every single video of Greg's, started getting into depth. And my whole goal of taking this test was to actually understand the items. I took it not for memorization purposes, but to become a better pilot, to understand. I plan to do this commercially. What that means is I can legally charge now for my services. So real estate people, they love to have aerial photos, aerial video of properties. That stuff, it costs money. Well, you can't legally do that unless you are a Part 107 licensed pilot. And I would eventually like to not only do that, but maybe get into HVAC inspections, roofing inspections. Eventually, we'd like to get a drone that has some of the thermal imaging. That way I can get into HVAC inspections and things like that. And there's good money to be made. I'm into video editing and photos and stuff like that. So it kind of naturally, goes together. So last I want to say is Pilot Institute. I enjoyed the course of instruction. I enjoyed Greg. There was a few times that I had put something, and that's the other thing too. If there's something you don't understand on a particular chapter or a particular segment of the chapter, because they're all broken down in many, many different videos. There's not one video. You can put a question. I did that a couple of times. He's super quick to answer. I'm actually kind of impressed at how fast he answers questions. And not only mine, you read other people's questions and you learn from that, and you can see that he is really quick. So shout out to Greg, Pilot Institute. You can actually find a lot of his videos on YouTube as well about droning, so highly recommend that. So all in all, great experience. I don't have my license yet. I cannot legally fly commercially until I get my my temporary certificate. By applying with IACRA today at the IACRA website for the FAA. It takes approximately 7 days to get your temporary certificate. Then after that, it takes approximately, they say, 2 to 3 months to get your actual pilot certificate. For anybody out there has any questions about Part 107, how to obtain it, about Pilot Institute, about anything, hit me up, write a comment. I promise I'll get back to you. And I will at least give you my opinion or give you my experience on whatever it is, whatever the question that you may have. And yeah, and if you like it, like and subscribe, right? Trying to grow this channel. So anyways, everybody, family, friends, peace to y'all.